Welcome back to my channel. My name is Gabriel Spence. Today I'm going to tier rank characters from The Office. I got this idea from idubz and also H3H3, who tier ranked fast food restaurants, but I'm starving right now and I don't think I could get through filming this entire video without ordering some food, and I don't have any money. So I got the idea to rank The Office characters. Okay, so here I have the ranking, and then here I have all of the characters that I'm going to be ranking on this tier. S is the absolute best. It's my absolute top most rated characters, and then the F is the worst. Okay, so we're going to start with the F category. Now, one of the all-time worst characters in the entire show is Todd Packer. Especially in the later seasons when he is competing with Dwight to get that manager position of the stores. I absolutely cannot stand him. He is by far one of the worst characters in the entire show. Okay, Roy. Roy, absolute F. Honestly, the reason why he's in the F really is because of the way that he completely freaked out and attacked Jim, completely messed up poor Richard's pub. Honestly, just that I feel like is enough to be on the F category. I think Robert, the senator, is a clear F. I don't know. It's not that he's gay, just more the way he treats Angela. Angela's also not one of my personal favorites, but still, you can't treat people like that. Even the way he treats Oscar is just, it's just wrong. And honestly, Kevin said it best when they were all leaving Robert's senator lunch thing. Kevin just said, "You're a horrible person. You're just using them to further your campaign." So honestly, Kevin definitely is one of my favorite characters. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that when we get there. Clark is also an F. Clark, he's so annoying. The way he treats Erin and asks her to the news interview, I feel like that's so weird. That's one of the most like painful episodes to watch. Honestly, Erin's pretty stupid for giving into that, but honestly, I just cannot stand Clark. He has a few good moments, so that might get him on the E category. Mainly I'm thinking about when he buys the suit with Dwight and makes that sale, and I like that part, but honestly, I really don't like him. He might deserve on an E. I'm going to put him halfway in between because he's not so bad. The next character on the F list, though, has got to be Karen. I am not a fan of Karen. I don't think she's that good of a character. I don't think she's very deep of a person in the series. And I mean, everyone wants Jim and Pam to be together, and she was a huge reason why they weren't for such a long time. But I still think she just is not that good of a character, not the right fit for Jim, and I can't stand her, so she belongs in the F category. Last but not least, the next F category is Charles Minor. He's really mean to Michael and pretty much everyone at the office. He's never really nice. He's never funny. I know he's only in it for a couple episodes, and I just could not stand this character. Mainly because he's so mean and kind of arrogant. Mainly there's a scene that I remember where a lot of the girls are trying to like flirt with him, and he just says, in an interview shot, he says, "I'm aware of the effect that I have on women." I just can't stand him. Anyway, okay. I think that's it for the F tier. Let's move on to the E tier. First off, Nellie Bertram. She was close to having on the F, but I think she redeems herself later on in the series. I cannot stand her, especially when she tries to steal Andy's job when she first is on the show. I definitely feel bad for her when she talks about her boyfriend who leaves her and the magician stuff. And she also redeems herself in wanting to adopt a child. And I feel like Andy's really mean to her when she's trying to adopt that kid. I am not a fan of Angela very much. She's very mean. I feel like she does have some good parts. I'm going to put her between an E and a D. You know what? No, I'm going to put her as a D. I don't think she's as bad as Nellie. But Angela's very kind of harsh to a lot of people. And she's a good character. I mean, she stays consistent. Her humor is kind of like so extremely unfunny that it is funny, but it's not exactly the type of humor that I'm into. Also, I'm going to move Clark up to the E. I've been thinking about it. I do like the suit episode a lot. So next on the E category, I'm going to have to put Jan. Jan is just, Jan honestly deserves a whole other category. She is just completely Wild. Jan. I'm not a huge fan. She's not a good fit for Michael. She definitely, I feel like she kind of uses him, especially when she gets her surgery. She definitely is like seducing him into being in that weird relationship. Also, when she has her kid and sings to her kid in the end, it's so weird. And honestly, when Clark goes to Jan's office to try and land the white pages, I feel like that's a good funny time for Clark. And I mean, they deserve each other. They belong on the same level. Also, who the heck names their kid Astrid? Who the heck names their kid Astrid? I think that's it for the E. Let's go to the D. Okay, Toby. Toby's a D. He's really not that bad. He's not as bad as Michael says, but he's just so miserable and just so bland. He definitely stays consistent with his Chad Flenderson novels, but geez, he's also probably the Scranton Strangler, which makes him even worse. If there was a confirmation that he was a Scranton Strangler, I would literally put him below F. He's pretty down there. I'm not too big of a fan. Okay, next up we have Kelly. I'm not a big fan of Kelly. Honestly, she's kind of like a little crybaby. I mean, she's funny. She is funny. There are definitely some funny moments. I like when she's training Angela to answer customer service calls, and Angela's just completely failing. But I think she's funny. She also definitely stays consistent in like being in love with Ryan, and I think that whole thing with Ryan, I really like that. I like when Ryan rides on the horse and professes his love for Kelly, and Kelly just says no, and then like 5 minutes later they like are making out. I think that their whole relationship is hilarious, and I think Kelly is a good character. I just think she's not as good as a lot of the other ones. On the D list also is Erin, which I might move up to the C list. She's I don't know if she's as bad as Kelly, but she's just kind of so stupid. When she falls for Clark's newscasting thing, she's very simple-minded. When she like boils the Gatorade for the old lady in Florida, she doesn't really make the best decisions. She is funny. I do like when they open the Saber store and she talks about like the Saber Triangle tablet and she fakes being the hipster and lines up outside. I think that's pretty funny. Anyway, no, I can move her up to the C category. I think she's better than Kelly. Meredith, I think, belongs on the D category. Meredith is just crazy. She's drunk. I love when this guy right here, D'Angelo, goes to her house and he says, "Looks like Katrina," or something like that. I honestly love that part. I cannot stand her son, but she's a decent character. She's funny, but she's also just a little bit insane at those New Year's party when Michael takes a picture of her and just how she's kind of an alcoholic. Not the best character. Next is Jo Bennett. She's not in it for very much, but she's a decent character. She's not too bad. I don't like when she makes the whole office stay late. I'm definitely a big fan of her dogs, and also I like when she takes Michael on her private jet. She's definitely nice to Michael at that time. There's just other times when she's not as nice and kind of just, I don't know, she's a little funky. Honestly, I'm gonna have to put Mose here. I think Mose is honestly one of the most funny characters. He just shows up randomly here and there. He's definitely not a main character, but he's like honestly unbeatably funny. He might honestly go up. I don't think he's actually in the C. You know what? He's going in the B. He's at least a B, if not A. The only reason I probably wouldn't put him in the A is just because since he's not a main character, I think he's hilarious. He's completely consistent. He seesaws with Dwight. I mean, you can't beat Mose. He's just completely amazing, and he's just hilarious how weird he is. And he's going in the C category. His anger issues, his anger management, I don't think is super funny. He's kind of insane. I'm really not a fan of like the acapella thing. He definitely has some funny moments. I think punching the wall is kind of funny. I don't like that he's angry all the time and gets angry really easily, but the punching wall is pretty good. D'Angelo Vickers, I think, belongs in the C category. Whenever the first time I watched The Office, I was a huge fan of him, but the more and more I watch him, I realize kind of how weird he is. And he's a little bit mean to Michael, which I'm not a fan of. I really like how him and Michael meet at the bar when neither of them when they start talking, but they don't recognize that they're there to meet each other. But then when Michael introduces D'Angelo's kind of mean to him. He makes fun of him for not noticing that. So I think D'Angelo's in this C tier. He's also only in like 3 episodes. I think the way he goes out is amazing. It's so funny. He tries to dunk the basketball, and he completely fails. He crashes the basketball hoop down and goes to the hospital, and that's the last you see of him. I also love when he comes back to the office after crashing the basketball hoop, and he's like in his hospital gown, and he has like an IV cord and everything. He's just dragging it, and he's just completely talking gibberish. I think that's one of the funniest moments in the entire show. I think someone else that belongs on this list is Pete. I feel like a lot of people like Pete more than Andy in terms of Aaron and Andy's relationship. I don't think so. I kind of think Aaron and Andy are better off, but I definitely think Pete is more sane than Andy. But I'm still not a huge fan. He's definitely chill. He's definitely good. But I'm still not a huge fan of him. He's not very funny. He's kind of just, I don't know. He's kind of just like your consistent good guy. He's fine, but I mean, for the B tier, definitely Mose. Kind of with that so dumb that it's funny. I think Nate belongs here. Nate, honestly, I don't think there's any time when he's not funny. How he talks about his hearing problem, and he literally tells everyone it's not that I have a hearing problem, it's that when there's a lot of noises, they get jumbled together. I honestly really, really like Nate. He's really funny. Next on the B tier is Phyllis. I'm definitely a fan of Phyllis. She's a solid character. She's not really insane. She's smart. There's times where she stands up for herself, kind of like your old grandma. And I mean, how can you not love your grandma? She's definitely one of the best characters. Next up is Stanley. I think Stanley is also a fantastic character. He's very consistent in just hating everything, and he kind of hates Michael and hates all the meetings, and he plays Sudoku. And I love, honestly, the peak of Stanley's happiness is Pretzel Day. I love Pretzel Day, and it's just he's honestly one of my favorite characters. I would say he's almost on the A tier. I think he's on the A tier, actually. I think I like him better than Phyllis. Yeah, I think he's on the A tier. Okay, next is Oscar for the B tier. Oscar is a solid character. He's a little bit unfunny, kind of how smart he is, but there definitely is some funny moments. He's definitely the opposite of Mose and Nate. He's kind of funny how smart he is. I don't really like his interaction with Michael when they do like the test of who's smarter. I'm not a huge fan of that. I like how he sticks himself in every conversation and says, actually, I'm a fan of Oscar. David Wallace belongs here. The reason why he's not lower is for literally 1 episode. And that episode is once he has been fired from Dunder Mifflin, and he's at home, and Michael comes and sees him, and all he talks about is his suck it vacuum. And he sits in the hot tub drinking his beer. And honestly, that in my opinion is the peak of David Wallace. That's why he's on the B tier and not on like C or D. He's a solid character otherwise. He's not very funny. He's just kind of a character. He's just like there. He's not really main character at all. But for that episode, I think he belongs on the B tier. And how he sold Suck It for $20 million to the U.S. military? Unbeatable. Unbelievable. It's amazing. I have respect for that man. Next on this list, honestly, is Gabe. I love Gabe. He's so cringy. He's so bad. But there's something about it that just makes that so good, so funny. Like, he's into the romantic Korean dramas, and he's into girl talk, and he's into the weird dead seahorse powder stuff. He's just into a lot of weird things. I also like when he wears the bootcut jeans later in the series, and he also says, "Call me by my full name, Gabriel Susan Lewis." Also, my name is Gabriel, so like I can feel for him, kind of. He is very cringy. I hate his relationship with Aaron, but honestly, he's just so consistently cringy that I love him. Okay, next is the A tier. We already have Stanley there. Actually, you know what? I'm going to do the S tier first before I do the A tier, just so I don't ruin the surprise. But I mean, S tier, honestly, you have to have Michael. If I put Michael anywhere else, everyone would get mad at me. You can't go wrong. Michael is one of the best characters in The Office. Jim obviously belongs here. Pam, Dwight. I really don't have to say more. These are like the solid 4 main characters. You love them. Dwight, I was honestly kind of in between A and S, but I thought about it and I love Dwight. He's really nice and caring to Pam in a lot of the scenes, and I think he deserves the S category. But anyway, besides that, I mean, these are just unsaid S's all the way. A couple other people that I think deserve the S category are Robert California. I am a huge fan of Robert California. I think he's so hilarious. He's so weird. I love when he leaves, when he kisses Andy. I love when he says that he's the freaking Lizard King. I love the story he tells on Halloween that freaks anyone out. That is by far top 10, might be even like top 5 episodes for me, that Halloween episode where he just freaks everyone out with that story. I love Robert California. Another S is Creed. Creed is my favorite character in the entire series. He's not in it very much. He only has a few scenes, but literally every single scene he's in, every single moment with Creed, he's funny. He's weird. He's so like quirky and weird, and he's totally like an outlaw. I love Creed. My favorite character by far. Most consistently funny character in the entire show. I think that's it for the S. For the A category, Holly. Holly deserves an A. I don't think she deserves an S just because, I don't know, I don't think she's super likable. I think she's an amazing fit for Michael, but I don't think she deserves that S category. Mainly just because she's not exactly my favorite. She's definitely one of the better characters. She's more sane, but mainly for the reason that she didn't try to make their relationship work when she moved away. I'm not a huge fan of that. And it's like AJ, I'm not a huge fan of AJ at all. She was a little mean to Michael, I think, not trying and not going for it, but she redeemed herself in coming back and marrying him and having kids and everything. Kevin, I really like Kevin. I think he deserves an A. He's not an S. He's not on the same level of consistency with Creed and Michael. Kevin is hilarious. I love his chili. One of the best openings. I'm up the night before peeling onions. Kevin is honestly a gem. Daryl is also definitely an A category. He's sane. He's chill. He's definitely one of the better characters. He's not crazy funny, but he's just like actually real. He's one of the most realistic characters, I think, in the entire show. I'm really a fan. And last but not least, Ryan. I love Ryan. I think Ryan, I honestly, he's like insane. He belongs in the A category, not the S, but Ryan is just so funny to me. I love how he gets all the way to the top of Dunder Mifflin and then just completely crashes. And I love him in the Michael Scott Paper Company. I also love the Michael Scott Paper Company. That is some of the best episodes of the whole series too. I really like Ryan. I'm also a fan because he dyed his hair blonde. I've dyed my hair blonde like 6 times. I love Ryan. I think he's one of the best characters. And yeah, I think that's pretty much, there it is. That's my tier ranking for The Office. I'm a huge fan of The Office, and just so you guys know, I've watched every single season of The Office at least 3 to 4 times. So I feel like I do have enough authority to rank these characters. I think this is a pretty solid list. If you have any changes you want to make, leave me a comment. Let me know which ones you would change and why. That's it for today. Thank you for watching.